Good evening, YouTube. Well, afternoon, fuck it. Good afternoon, YouTube. This is Chainlink 1TN here.
We don't fucking care what time it is.
We don't actually. We don't fucking care. But you know what? I'm back because it's been a while since I've done a video. And I'm gonna come back with a bang while I'm doing a deck profile with the legendary, the one, the only,
Cimo! My voice cracked on that, that sucked.
But you know what? It was still amazing. It was godly, so yes. How are you doing today, Cimo?
I'm doing spectacular. How are you doing?
I'm doing fucking fantastic. Thank you for asking. This guy ruining the video. Alright, well, whatever. So, right now we're doing a deck profile of Cimo's Burning Abyss. Talk to us about your matchups, my good sir.
So, I just got back from Nats, literally not that long ago, like maybe 12 hours ago, and Nats was really fun. I was only playing in LCQs, but I mainly just went for the fun of it, but I pretty much played every single matchup imaginable. I played Necros, I played lots of Klee, there was a lot of Klee, I played a lot of Shadal, which is this deck's worst matchup, arguably. What else? I only played like 1 or 2 Satellar, but yeah, it was very heavily meta-based.
Interesting.
As to be expected at Nats.
As to be expected. It is Nats after all.
No Infernoid though. No Infernoid.
Damn it! Alright, well that's alright. Well, let's get to the deck, shall we, my good sir?
So, first part's pretty standard. 1 tour guide, obviously. If you're not running tour guide, you're just like bad.
You're bad.
3 Seer, 3 Graph, 3 Super Scar.
Bro,
that's your standard. 2
strong.
Farfa. What I've learned about Farfa that's really interesting is that when you Farfa against Necros, you're going to want to go and push for damage. Whether or not they have Valk is irrelevant, because in the end phase, whatever you get rid of with Farfa is just going to come back, and then they can't search for mirrors. So originally in my deck list, I was only running 1 of this, but I've learned the significance of Farfa at 2 is actually really important. It also combos really well with Fiend Griefing, because you can disrupt their plays really hard, because say if you're playing a Burning Abyss mirror match, you can Fiend Griefing their Graph that they detach, and then you can Farfa, and Farfa will detach all the materials left on Dante, and then they can't do anything with that Dante for the rest of the turn. So Farfa at 2 is really strong.
That actually is very strong.
Not to mention that it's a Jin out, so it's always good to have more Jin outs than not.
Of course.
2 Libic, this is for in tandem with Mathematician, which I'll get to. This is probably negligible. I could probably go for 1. In hindsight, I'd probably run an Alec instead, but 2 Libic is still really good. What I really like doing with Libic is having it underneath a Dante, because if you have another Burning Abyss in hand with Libic under Dante, if they kill the Dante, you can add with Dante and make Libic Chainlink 1 and summon whatever you add off of Dante, assuming you already have a Burning Abyss monster in hand. So you can add back Seer and Special Seer, and it protects you from getting OTK'd, which is pretty cool.
That's actually pretty legit.
Yeah. And it's just, you know, traditional Mathematician combo, whatever. 2 Rubik, a lot of people only run 1. My theory for 2 is I like having 1 in Grave and 1 in Deck, so that I can access it with either Graph or Seer at any moment I need it.
Right. So
the problem with only running 1 is it's either in one place or the other, and when it's like that, it forces you into doing inoptimal play, so I'd rather just have 2 and so I can access it whenever I need it. Plus, it's just another name, so it doesn't really matter. Worst case scenario, you're just going to be special summoning it out anyway.
That's true.
1 Barbar, which is arguably the best card in the deck. I burned probably 8 people for game with Barbar. Like,
that's a fucking dick card.
This card is the best card, like, hands down. It's so good. It makes Nightmare Shark 29. I actually popped my own, I Regeki braked my own monster to special Seer back, to special this back, because I had to downer it up, and then this killed itself during my opponent's standby phase and dealt the 900 I needed.
Wow.
So, this card is just so stupid. And it's a normal summonable out to Denko, too, so, because 1700's relevant. 2 Mathematician, this is pretty obvious. I chose not to do 3 because I feel like 3 is too much. You don't really like want to see Mathematician because, I mean, he kind of like fizzles down his effectiveness later on.
Right.
But 2 is like all you need. I mean, the +1 is really good off the kill, so outside of that, that's all that matters. And the Jin out.
Of course.
1 Paraparo. I was going like all over the place with this card. I was at 2 at one point, and then I went down to 1, and then I took it out, and then I went back to 1. This is also a Jin out because you can just send it with Math and Crash. But
and they can't Gungnir it because it happens during damage step.
It's true. But they could also preemptively do it, though. But anyway.
That's true.
But in any case, I like this because if I'm getting face down with like Shadow Mirror or Decree or something, this is a monster effect that isn't affected by Shadow Mirror because it's Earth. So I like having it in Grave just so, and it can surprise your opponent too if they don't know that you're going to play it.
Right.
Or if they forgot that you milled it, they're not going to remember, and you can just banish it and totally screw up their play.
Oh, and that's the beauty about mill decks.
Exactly.
The opponent usually forgets shit.
Right. And last for the monster count, Big Daddy BLS.
Whew.
So The reason for this is simply A, the surprise factor of it. B, I feel like this card running it at a huge event was going to win me more games than I should have, like that I should lose in theory.
Right.
Because late game, if I have a bunch of Dantes or Virgils in grave, if I just drop this when my opponent's low on resources, I'm going to win.
That's true.
And there's so many times.
PLS.
There's so many times too where you have double Dante and you want to go for the Acid Golem OTK. This effectively does the exact same thing because this is also a 3K beater. So it's the same OTK without having to go into Acid Golem and potentially risk not being able to play afterwards.
Absolutely, and it's also spot removal too, in case you need it to be.
Right, exactly. So that's it for the monsters. Spells are really low. Just 2 Dark Hole, Jin out. The other thing is too with Dark Hole, and I guess I'll just say Regeki while we're at it. Just clearing the opponent's board, and you can just go in for the OTK. Burning Abyss arguably has the best OTK of the format.
I can agree with that.
So if you can just clear the board and go in, you basically win. So it doesn't even matter. And then the one Foolish, because being able to tutor anything in your deck's pretty good, I hear.
Right.
So 4 spells. For the traps, 3 copies of Mind Crush is the best card in the format. You hit Valk, you call Unicorn off Kaleido. I mean, this card's just stupid.
Absolutely. And on top of that, even if you call it wrong, you just get the discard Burning Abyss and whatnot, get the effect, and then you can still get to see your opponent's hand. That's fucking strong.
Absolutely. 2 Breakthrough. You're going to see a lot of my traps I decided to run 2 of because there's a paradox between Klee and Necros, which I felt were the 2 strongest decks. So, like, for instance, this is amazing against Necros because it stops Trish, Unicorn, you banish from grave to negate Unicorn, stuff like that.
Right, but it's shit against Klees.
Exactly, and a lot of traps are like that. So I decided to only play 2 of this to basically minimize my dead cards against Klee while still maximizing what's really good against Necros.
Right.
It did its job. 2 of my favorite trap in the deck.
Whew, so
Fiend
good.
Reefing. I already explained the utility of this card, but this card is incredible. Disrupting Shuret and really just like being able to shuffle anything out back into the opponent's grave is just so good.
Oh yeah.
So I can't
any Fiend deck that loves the graveyard should be running that card.
Exactly, at least at 2. And again, this card's bad against Klee. Otherwise, I would run 3 of it.
But, oh yeah, no, I always side him out against Klee because I ran him in not Burning Abyss, Infernoids, and it does so much work.
Yeah, it's the best card, and it keeps your engine going. So if you draw a dead hand, like this card will just feed your engine. You can just dump a Scarm and just get going.
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry, it'll take 2 seconds.
2 copies of Karma Cut, and I might as well just say 2 Regeki Breaks. So the discard traps, I used to be a Phoenix Wing Wind Blast elitist, but I have moved on to these cards because with Necros and Klee being arguably the 2 most anticipated decks that I saw at the event, which they were, they thrive off Phoenix Wing because you don't want to give them back a Manju, a Senju, a Trish, a Scout. You don't want to give them those cards back. So essentially, the Regeki Breaks are for the back row, and the Karma Cuts are for the monsters. And it's really just that simple. And
I like that. That's pretty good. I'm surprised you actually don't run the Divine Wrath anymore.
I was actually testing teching Divine Wrath, but in the end, it's too gimmicky.
I feel you.
For the 1-ofs, 1 Crush card. This card is, if your deck can run this card's a blowout against Necros. I know the format's basically over, but this card literally is an auto win against Necros if you resolve it. Same against Klee, as Ben knows. This card is just so powerful. It doesn't matter that you can't attack on your next turn because you just set up. You can spin stuff back with Virgil still, so it's irrelevant. And making walls with Dante's behind this is just it's so good.
Oh, of course.
1 Lake, which again Ben also hates.
Wow.
So the 1 Lake, Lake's too good not to run. But the problem is, it's really bad against Necros, so I only decided to main the 1 copy so I don't auto-lose to either Klee or Rogue, and then I side a 2nd copy for everything else. And then if I play Necros, I just side this out. This is okay against Necros when you're in a simplified game state, but outside of that, it's pretty terrible. 1 Skill Drain, another auto-win card against Necros, because if you flip this with an Acid Golem on your field, there's basically no way for them to get over it unless they run Decisive Armor, which pretty much only 25% of Necros players actually do.
That is true. I'm one of those on my Dev Pro, but...
Exactly, but it's still very rare to see, and it's just, Skill Drain is just so good. 1 Warning. This is here, again, simplified game state. Just taking away a Manju or Senju is really powerful.
Oh yeah,
and
I'd gladly sacrifice 2,000 life points for that shit.
Yeah, and for, what was I going to say? Denko. This, because since I run 17 back row, I believe it is, I want to have at least 1 way to stop Denko in the main deck, and so this is obviously the best one.
Yeah.
1 Torrential. This is yet another blowout card against Necros. If they do their opening play of like Manju, Unicorn, Valk, and you flip this, they have 1 card left in hand, 1 or 2 cards left in hand, and they basically lose. Like they can search mirrors, but they're not going to have any resources in hand to do anything with it. So
exactly,
this is the most underrated card of the format, and I was going to actually make a video on it, but I never got around to it. And then the other auto win card against them is Vanity's Empty.
Vanities, of course.
So it's actually a 42 card main deck. I couldn't cut it down, but since I'm milling, it's 42.
It doesn't matter. You're safe.
Negligible.
You're safe.
It's negligible.
Exactly.
You want extra or side next?
Extra, please.
Cool. 2 Virgil. I was playing 2 Rubik, so I felt 2 Virgil's appropriate, even though the second one never came up, so I could probably cut 1. But I like to always have it just to be safe.
Just to be safe.